Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the session. We will do the prayers on page 9, which is renewing our refuge and affirmation of the teachings of the Buddha and the need to practice loving kindness and compassion and try to regain our consciousness to stay joyful in the good and remain impartial with all situations, not fall into extremes of attachment towards others and aversion towards others, but remaining very impartial if possible. So for that we will recite these prayers on page 9. Zanje judan zoje janala chanje barda dane jazoje dage jenye je bahande dage dala benje zanje robajo zanje judan zoje janala chanje barda dane jazoje dage jenye je bahande dage Dalai benje zanje drobajo. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment reached. By the merit of listening to these teachings, may I attain Buddha for the sake of all living beings. Samje danje dewa dande yuda dambara juje danga da danga je yuda dawara juje danga me be dewa da me dawa juje Nyere jada nye dandrave anya la ne bara joje. May all living beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all living beings be free from sorrow and the cause of sorrow. May all living beings not be separated from the bliss that is sorrowless. May all living beings live attachment and hatred towards near ones and far by living with equanimity. May all living beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all living beings be free from sorrow and the cause of sorrow. May all living beings not be separated from the bliss that is sorrowless. May all living beings live with attachment and hatred to near ones and far by living with equanimity. Now we go back to page 1, where we do the invocation and the praise to Manjushri. I pay homage to Guru, Lord Arya Manjushri. Your intelligence shines forth like the sun, unclouded by the two obscurations. You hold the scripture text in your heart, symbolic of the seeing of all things as they are. Those who are caught in the prison of samsara are confused in the darkness of ignorance and are overwhelmed by their sufferings. In 60 ways with your speech you teach migratory beings to whom you are compassionate, your only child. Your proclamation of Dharma is like roaring thunder, which awakens beings from the stupor of delusions and frees us from the iron chains of our karma. Your word is sword of wisdom, hewing down suffering wherever sprouts appear, clearing away the darkness of ignorance. Primordially pure, your princely body is the embodiment of perfection of Bodhisattva, dwelling on the 10th bhumi. I pay homage to Manjushri to dispel my ignorance, whose body is adorned with 112 marks of a Buddha. With the brilliance of your wisdom, O compassionate one, illumine the darkness enclosing my mind. Enlighten my intelligence of wisdom, so that I may gain insight into the Buddha's words, texts that explain them. Amara bhajana de, 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 amara bhajana So tonight we'll do this chanting on the Heart Sutra. in Sanskrit. That's on page Heart Sutra. Heart Sutra Sanskrit text before page 5, not 4. So when you're reading the Heart Sutra, basically you meditate on the understanding that things, though appears real in your life, from matter to consciousness, from ups and downs, but in reality they really are mere illusions. They're not quite what they seem like. Even if they are, they don't last long. So why so worried about them? Ordinary beings who don't know this cling onto things as they're real and same, but there's nothing there in the past, even if we go back. So lost in things as they're real, when all things are like rainbow or reflection of the moon in the water. Not knowing these beings hold onto their feelings, their perception, their doings and failings. They get attached to one, they get upset with another. These are deluded. That's how people suffer. They hold things as unreal as real, impermanence as permanent, unsatisfactory things and unsatisfactory things, undesirable things they desire, only to be disappointed very soon. All things are just mere projection of the deluded mind. And if one can tune the mind, even enlightened mind, it's also to let go all these things. So one need to reflect on whatever understanding there is, and let's chant this in Sanskrit. Evam maya shrutam ekasamin samaye bhagavan rajagrihe viharati sma gridakute parvate mata bhikshu sangena sardam mata cha bodhisattva sangena tena kalu samayena bhagavan gambira sambodham nama samadhim samapana tena cha samayena aryavalokiteshvaro bodhisattva mahasattva gambirayam prajna paramitayam charyam charamana evam devalokayati sma Panchaskandastam saja svabhava shunyam vyavalokayati ayusman shariputro buddhanubhavena aryavalokiteshvaram bodhisattvam etadavocha yakachi kulaputrava kuladuhita gambirayam prajna paramitayam charyam chartukama katham shikshitva evam ukta aryavalokiteshvaro bodhisattva mahasattva ayusmantam shariputram etad avocha yakaschi shariputra kulaputro va kuladuhita va gambirayam prajna paramitayam charyam chartukamasa tena eva vevalokayati vyam panchaskandastam sacha svabhava shunyan samanupashyati sma viha shariputra rupam shunyata eva rupam rupanna pritha shunyataya na pritha rupam ya rupam sha shunyata ta rupam evam eva vedana sanjana sanskara vijnanam Iha Shariputa Sarvadharma Shunyata Lakshana Mirudvana Aniruddha Mala Vimala Nana Paripurna Tasma Shariputra Shunyatayam Narupam Na Vedana Na Sanjana Na Sanskara Na Vijnanani Na Shakshu Shrota Grena Jiva Kaya Manamsi Narupam Shabda Gandharas Svastavya Dharmana Shakshurudatu Yavanna Manodatu Na vidya shayo Yavana Jaramaranam shayo Na dukkha samudaya nirodha marga Na jnanam na praptitvam Tasma Chariputra praptitvena bodhisattvanam Prajna paramitam Shridya Vyarati Chidavarana Nasti Tvadradrastro Viparyasati Kranto Nista Nirvana Tradvaya Vivastita Sarva Buddha Prajna paramitam Shridyanutaram Samya Sambodhi Avisambuddha Tasma Gyatva Prajna Paramita Mahamantro Mahavidya Mantro Anutara Mantro Asamasama Mantra Sarva Dukha Parashamana Mantra Satyam Mityavat Prajna Paramitaya Mukto Mantra Tadyata Gate Parasangade Bodhi Swaha Evam Shariputra Gambirayam Prajna Paramidayam Charyayam Shikshidvam Bodhisattvena Atakalu Bhagavan Tasmal Samadhir Vyutarya Valokiteshwarasya Bodhisattvasya Sadhu Karamadat Sadhu Kulaputra Evam Yata Kulaputra Evam Yata Gambirayam Prajna Paramitayam Charyam Chartavyam Yadhadvaya Nirdistamo Dadya Tathagadya Arhati Bidamavajad Bhagavan Anandamana Yusman Shariputra Varyavalokiteshwarasya Bodhisattva Sacha Sarvavati Parsat Sadeva Manasura Gandharvasya Loke Bhagavato Vasidam Avinandaniti Prajna Paramita Hrida Shrutam Samabdam. So we're going through the writings of Nagarjuna, 2nd century great Buddhist philosopher. And he has many writings, and this particular one is Precious Garland, a letter or writing that he sent to his friend King Gautamiputra, and which has 4 chapters, and we're not right now going through the third one. This chapter is the collection of enlightenment, meaning the how to become enlightenment, to attain enlightenment. To do the lighting in your life, you should do things that are light-like, that should bring understanding, that should dispel the confusion and darkness. And so therefore it's called accumulation of 2 stocks of merit and stocks of wisdom. And here we finished last week about the importance of creating what we call devotional practices, engaging in devotional practices such as building temples and monuments with many precious stones and metals. If one is able to divest everything what one has to give for such causes, then it creates beautiful monuments. It becomes a public monuments that has a spiritual and humane significance, and therefore it becomes constant objects of holy object that inspires and aspires people's mind to do good. because if one has an internal spiritual qualities, one need to do things that actually bring benefit in the minds of the people who see and hear and know things. So by building or constructing, we're talking about the fine Buddha images with correct proportion as they are prescribed, with the pure precious stones, and done in a very particular loving manner by not only the artisans but also the people who are commissioning them, and also for the purpose to give delight through artistic creation, because what we call the very beautiful art can transmit teachings through looking at the gestures and hand, and people say, why is this hand like this? And so by looking at the forms, the visual dharma can greatly implant a seed of merit in the people's mind. So that's why we finished last week about revering monuments that are built with a lot of beautiful riches and created to bring joy and happiness in people's mind. So even ordinary buildings, when you go to there, people got wondered, wow, how someone can build this much just out of love. Maybe Taj Mahal, people go to see Taj Mahal, and as soon as they know that the building, they go there and they remember how much love and generosity the one person can devote to just one person, If the intent of doing such things for the benefit of everybody would be amazing, even just from one person, for his own love for some particular person can do this and still continue to be a legacy of people go there and feel very good and peaceful and almost like feel the immeasurable love and dedication from one person to the other. And likewise, people who make statues and temples out of devotion to the Buddha, it can implant a lot of virtues and seed in people's mind. By merely seeing an image or beautiful art can make them to look for deeper meanings. So therefore, we continue where we left last week. To revere propounders of the doctrine is to do what pleases them. So now we're talking about monuments that are pleasing, very, very inspiring. Then those who explain the meanings of the symbolism, the teaching itself, because when the Buddha passed away, most of his teachings were oral teachings, and they were remembered by senior disciples, those with the very art of non-forgetfulness, they can remember. And soon the teachings had to be either written in text or illustrated through various way. So those who are able to propound or explain the teachings has to be respected. Whatever good we can offer our time or energy or services, so that they can focus and stay very committed to their task, so that they don't have to do other ordinary tasks. Because if you don't, anybody who does even ordinary work, if they can't focus on that, if their energy is dissipated, many things, they can't do even that very well. So those people who are very few, who actually give their life and time for the Dharma, to study, to learn, and to explain, and to teach, we must, as lay people, must offer our energy and resources so that they can actually support what we call, this is actually in Buddhist culture, that's the true. Lay people is amazing how much they just feel joyful to provide. There's no shortage of actually covering the expenses. You never have to ask fees from individuals, just someone and few others would say, I'll do this, and then and because they know the merit of doing that overall benefits to everybody. It's just not like one doing this for oneself, but one knows that if the temple is built, then it will benefit so many people. If the teachings are given and taught there, it will benefit many people. So everybody willingly goes and provides dana, which means they become donors and supporters, and so that makes the teachings itself survive because it is supported. It's got, maybe temple is there, and people who propagate the teachings are there, and they can actually focus on that work and don't have to worry about other bits and pieces. They can just completely focus on that. Listen to teachers with homage, meaning then when you actually listen to the teachers, not because of the particular personality or the of the person, but he or she is a messenger of the Buddha's teachings. They are only spokesperson of the Buddha's teachings. They are not teaching anything original. They must remember that. All the Buddhist teachers have nothing to teach from their own side. They may have some little bit of personal experience by doing that, so it's good to know that. But main thing is the teaching is Buddha's teachings. So therefore, we should think that the teacher is just a conduit. It is through the conduit, the teaching that we get is from the Buddha. So therefore, listen to the teachers with homage, because what you're getting from the teacher is exactly the same probably teachings that Buddha given to his disciples. With respect, serve and pray to them. And by doing that, to some degree, our organization does just that, Our organization or other similar organization, really the committee or members or even not committee or not members, they support activities in one way or another in whatever is through whichever channel is where is appropriate according to given time, and then this therefore fosters and promotes the teachings. And when we do this is very meritorious. Even merit is no merit unless teaching is there, You cannot teach others, people in the street, saying do meritorious things. They don't know what you're talking about. First, they have to understand in context. So therefore, listen to teacher with homage, because if you give that respect, then that merit of the respect also will empower the person to change themselves. That maybe not so, they themselves are struggling on the path of life maybe. Sure, most are. They have karma, they have their own samsaric life. And when we mutually support them, it also helps them to adhere to the teachings more consistently, and it bless their mind, bless their time. And then they too will be more transformed and grown and experience growth. And when mutually this respect is given to each other, then one is actually seeing each other as a would-be bodhisattva, if not already. So that's why it says, always respectfully revere others as bodhisattvas. Revere others as bodhisattva means selfless people. Everybody, when you look at, they actually do mean very well. Whatever the task they do, they actually have good heart. They actually have vows to serve others. They actually have a lot of commitment, and from their point of view, they are also doing for the benefit of others. So not saying I'm only Mayan, others are not that thing. People may not have heard Mahayana at all, but they're doing the thing thinking Mahayana should do. I say this. Buddhists are talking about it. Hindus are doing it. In India, like that. It's true, Buddhists are a lot very articulate, talking about it. Hindus just doing it. Very disciplined. They really are renunciate. They really squat on the streets a whole night, and they are not looking for the 5-star hotel. They actually bear the hardships as a discipline and live simple life, really simple life. And their devotion to the Brahma and Ishvara is amazing. Only if we had the same devotion to the Buddha, So therefore, don't look to people saying, "Oh, they're not Buddhist," or "They're not Mahayanists." It's really judgmental to think. Think everybody is a sort of a bodhisattva in their own way. Think like that. That is really meritorious, isn't it? When you have to have a mind to think like that, and you will actually start seeing good in everyone. That's the whole thing. That's a merit, isn't it? You see good in others, then don't reject. We don't reject them like that. He too has bodhicitta. He too has Buddha nature. He too has something to say, something to offer. When you do that, it really says a lot about the attitude. This is an attitudinal training, This teaching that Nagarjuna is attitudinal teaching. Nobody says I'm Bodhisattva with the logo or sticker on their forehead. Some Mahayanas, Buddhist Chinese, and I think Japanese, if they took a Bodhisattva vow, they have to have some burns on the forehead. They show some burns. They have to put incense stick or burn here to show they have burnt. Tested their vow that they can burn their body a little bit, still not give up on sentient being. It's like that, So, but others don't have that. Like in Tibetan Buddhism, that's never heard about that. You do this. You should hide your qualities if you have any, and you should also see others are doing the same. They have qualities. They are kind. They are bodhisattvas. Think like that. You should not respect, revere, or do homage to others, the foreigners, because through that the ignorant would become enamored with the faulty. So this is talking about, suppose, people who are negatively influenced by people who are heretical views, those who hold very fundamentalist, divisive, views. And if one respect them, then of course one will be influenced by them, and one will not hesitate but to act like that. So therefore, instead of being swayed by people and showing respect to them, one should learn how to restrain oneself from being influenced by others, because the people who have such faulty characters, if you spend time with the faulty characters, you will learn those faulty characters. So if those which has a good qualities, then you will slowly learn those qualities of others. This is a merit of who you're acquainting with, who you're mixing with. If you're mixing with the positive people, generous people, compassionate people, tolerant people, and disciplined people, you will also learn to pick up some of their good habits. You will not only see them, you will see how beneficial it is to have them. But if one is mixing with others who is exactly opposite, who are rough, who are arrogant, who leads waste their time and energy in very destructive, divisive, negative things, then one will also not hesitate. One thinks it's okay to do because one mixes with people who do that all the time. Because of that, one also unhesitatingly drink or whatever one is in acquainting with. So saying that if you want not to be tainted by the faulty people, then it's good to have a reasonable respect, the reasonable distance from them, so that one do not become easily influenced by them. So this is talking about what kind of people you mix that is really healthy and not healthy. So usually you can see that somebody goes with somebody and you can see they're influencing it. Where they talk it, they just act exactly like them. So that's why it's talking about, it's a meritorious thing. This accumulating merit is who you mix with, and what do you do with them. What do you do with them once a week? What do you do with once or twice a week? What do you do with them every day? And so on, so forth. So one realizes, I'm spending time with this person or this kind of people, doing this so many times, this is no good, this is harming my pocket or harming my whatever, then a person is actually learning to dissuade oneself from spending time with that. You should make donation of pages and books of the words of the King of Subduer. This is talking about publication of the Dharma texts, the words of the Buddha, And they usually see that in the old days, they never sold books. Nobody sold books, and it was because all the books were holy Dharma books, and it was all sponsored, page by page. If it's 200 pages, get 200 people to sponsor it. Then at the end, 4,000 people can have the benefit of it. 200 people can sponsor the book, and 4,000 or whatever. So that was the old, that you should make donation of pages of books of the word of the King of Subduer, referred to the Buddha. Because everything that Buddha said and taught are worthy of listening and reading by everyone, and by reading a good book that has amazing contents, that is very golden, like pearls of wisdom. When you see it, you can see in the old days people always wrote those words of the Buddha in a carefully made handmade paper, made out of golden ink, silver ink. They just not only made a different ink, but one line is golden ink, another is silver ink, another is turquoise ink, another is coral ink. There's some texts like that in Tibet and China. Amazing. People did actually exactly what Nagarjuna said. People didn't waste those riches on ordinary jewelries for their own body, but rather put them on these, and then they become honored because they are so valuable. And of the treatises they give rise to, along with the prerequisites, pens and ink. Yeah, some people provide ink and some people provide pen. Other people provide food for the scribers. Amazing, just teamwork. This is actually happening even in a similar degree in Eastern Tibet. There's a place called Derge printing block place. Thousands of xylographs, wooden. Every single page like this is the long one, and every single page has one xylograph. Xylograph is a piece of plank, and all the letters are carved by hand, because they didn't have machinery those days. So when I need to print this book, I just go to the monastery, maybe bring my papers or ink, or maybe some little donation, and then the people will use your ink, the paper you brought, and they'll print it for you. That was the tradition. That was the tradition. But someone had to actually make the xylographs. One page, every page has one big plank. All the planks are put in the shelves like meticulously, and when you print, you have to bring them one by one, and never produce in masses, because they don't know how to print so many copies, because it's not possible. You got to create the merit yourself to bring the ink and the paper, or get someone to make the paper ink for you, and you pay them. So I think these days is a little bit different. A bit more industrial. Half a dozen people are all just applying the inks and so on, but done in a similar way. Still, very few people will sell for the profit, even if they do. If the profit is there, profit never goes to an individual person's pocket. Profit goes to the upkeep of the text, upkeep of the things. So this is called talk about doing meritorious things. So building stupas and temples, and then have this kind of contents to represent Buddha's speech. This is Buddha's speech. You can have statues, the Buddha himself. Statues speaks the scriptures of Buddha's speech, and stupas, Buddha's mind. Those are the three symbols they keep in the monastery and temples. So if you can make these not only meritorious thing for yourself, but also you can do it to make merit for your mother or the father or the friend who are not well. You can do this for their health, for their peace, for their karma or whatever is their dead or whatever. You can do that, and then encourage others to contribute to do such meritorious activities as ways to increase wisdom. So that's the ways to increase merit, yeah? As ways to increase wisdom, wherever there is a school in the land, provide for the livelihood of all the teachers and the staff, and give lands to them for their profession. So Nagarjuna remember, he wrote this to the king. So king can afford doing all of this, And actually lots of kingdoms do that, In Tibetan, the whole national revenue is all spent supporting 3 big monasteries. All of their feeding and clothing and education is completely provided. That was the budget. We have budget night. Not a single cent spent in making weapons or buying weapons. All go to support the study and propagation of the teachings. So he's talking about where your main emphasis, where your main interest is. If you know the teaching is very important, you want others to hear the teachings. You want a place where they teach the teachings. You want to see a place there's a school. You want to have people, there are staff who are all supported. Then the staff in school will stay together and do the things, and give land to them if you have. If you don't have land, give other things that can make them to possess these and do those things for them. And it's not for the individuals. This is not going to individual person. This goes for the goodness of the for the propagation of the Dharma. And then it also encourages other people to do the same. And then there's a lot of merit, a lot of collective merit, where there's a good spiritual tradition being kept and not lost. Then it may be, when it comes to use, the whole world benefit. This is the whole thing, Tibet may look like very backward or materially very backward and so on. But when the teachings that are preserved and protected there for 1,000 years, when the world gets to share it, they realize, that was they have been preserved, all these things, Then you realize there's something valuable, not mention the very culture, very whole people is completely dedicated towards that. And then any people who are connected with that, influenced by that, and then these teachings are schools and teachers whose livelihood we supported, schools, buildings we painted or renovated, has actually protected the heritage of the world knowledge so that people like us can actually receive. So Nagarjuna wrote this. He had amazing vision, He wrote this in 2nd century. And even when people like him and many kings sponsored building huge places, even though those places were destroyed by war, maybe like Nalanda University, they say burned for so many years, whole library was set on fire, but many copies of those texts were already translated in other countries, so it doesn't really matter what happened there. So the propagation of the teachings has taken place. So all of our joint effort to make the teachings possible, having a brick or roof over our head, make other people to be able to benefit from that in the future generation, all these are collective merit, very collective. And Nagarjuna says that in order to alleviate suffering of sentient beings, the old, the young, and the infirm, you should establish through the estates that you control doctors and barbers throughout your countries. so train the actual human resources that can look after the well-being of the people. And one of good wisdom, please provide. He's calling. This is Nagarjuna writing to the king. He says, please provide hostels, parks, dikes, ponds, rest houses, water vessels, beds, food, hay, and wood. Please establish rest houses in all towns, at temples in all cities, and provide water vessels on all arid roadways. In all the Nepal and India is like that. Lots of people build place thing called chautara. In the middle of the road, they build this chautara. Chautara is a resting place. They stack up this, rocks and whatever through mud. They make it very nice with people carrying their bag for maybe a couple of miles. They need a resting place. They can just sit there, rest for a while. They have all over. Then they put a big tree. They usually deceased parents on their behalf. They built the resting places. Some of them are actual guest house. You can all guest houses are free. All guest houses are free, and where people can just stop and rest there. If tired people can find a resting place, it's a very meritorious thing, If and tired people, thirsty people can't find a drink, in Australia, drive 2 hours, stop every 2 hours, and then there's a resting place, there's a little picnic place, there's a toilet and all this. Even these days, this is all somebody's thinking for this. These are social benefit. These are exhausted, not just exhausted drivers, but people shouldn't be driving too many hours. They should stop a couple of minutes, have a little rest. And but if there are no places to rest, if there is no toilet, if there is no water, you can't stop anywhere. So see. In Nepal, in the trekking when the trekking starts season, it's so useful. Everybody carrying these like 30, 40 kilos of tourists, mountaineers, heavy luggage, and they have to stop. But if they don't have those chautaras, they can't rest anyway. It's so difficult. If you try to unload on the flat ground, most people collapse. They try to go like this. The load is so heavy, they fall. And so having restful places to rest and water and things like that, so the king was instructed by Nagarjuna that he should build all of these. He says, provide water vessels on arid roadways. So try to put some waters where it is very dry and people who are walking on the road, or animal who's carrying heavy loads like mules and horses and donkeys. These days we call them as a petrol station. These days, petrol station. Petrol stations for cars, for the vehicles, but people have to go on fuel as well. People have to fuel mostly junk water. Mostly junk water, actually. They don't want to drink the real water. They want colorful drinks, fizzy, aerated water, and it's not so useful. So if it was a free water, it would be much better. And even that's not available. Even water costs as much as those aerated drinks. Anyway, at least they are there. At least they are there. And the amazing thing about that is most of those petrol stations are run by Indians. You wouldn't believe how they are really together. Not everywhere, but you will notice quite a lot that they're doing it. And so someone has to do it. Not everybody wanted to own the business and work themselves. They rather have others do it. They will want to own the business, but they don't want to do the real thing. They want somebody else to do it. Who are the somebody else to do it? They have to be willing to do those things. Someone has to care for the elderly, feed the elderly, to wash the elderly, and care for them. You can't just everybody become doctors, everybody become professionals, and nobody wants to do the very important, meritorious things. These are very meritorious things. You don't charge by hours. It's just quite a lot of volunteers in community care. You can see them, people doing this because it's meritorious. That's called community work. And a lot of people are paid. This kind of society affords to pay, and it also is reasonable for them to have some source of income. But there are a lot of people who are volunteers. There are volunteers who do that. And those volunteers, they say they really rather do the work voluntarily without being paid, because they feel pro bono doing work is very meritorious. They feel good, and they know quite a lot of people. I know the Doctors Without Borders or whatever these. They actually do a lot. I know a few people who are doctors and dentists who work several months a year, go overseas pro bono. I don't know why they don't do Australia, but they always go pro bono overseas. Overseas they're doing free things, and it's amazing. Some monasteries coordinate this. They organize all these doctors from overseas to come, and they get somebody else to sponsor all the dental machines and tools and things, and then they do the cataract or eye operations in the Nepalese villages. Everything's free, but all the people who do is all professionally trained, and they're all volunteers. And the monastery is providing the space for people to stay, the doctors, nurse to stay. They provide food, and they also got some sources of donors as well. And it looks so happy. It looks like everybody's so happy, from the doctors to the nurses to the villagers. Even if they had to pay, they would pay that much. But the fact that it is all these people come from all kinds of places doing out of their love for each other is so meritorious. This is what we're talking about, doing things voluntarily, meritorious, very meritorious things. Doing things voluntarily and doing for the sake of others. Please establish these things. He says, please always compassionately, always care compassionately for the sick. It's very important teaching. Care compassionately for the sick. Often the patients are not really treated really compassionately. They are like a number, and carers are not taught compassion, then carers have to look after 40 people. It's very difficult. Those people who run those old age places, they actually have always profit-making mind. If their priority is to make profit, and they try to save on resources. They want less workers and more work, and they're getting all the 300, 400,000 of every person who comes in through the door, become member of the old people's home, 70s, and the 400,000, that's they have to give them up. And whether they stay 3 years, 4 years, do they really mind whether they should stay 3 years or 6 years? I'm told quite a lot of people, they really try to get rid of them quickly as possible. Whole mind is just profit-making. And so they try to cut the cost of hiring people, and therefore, and sick people or old people are not treated compassionately. Always care compassionately for the sick, the unprotected, those stricken with suffering, the lowly and the poor, and take special care to nourish them. Quite a lot of the church is doing these things. We should really rejoice the church people. If the church actually are doing these things, a lot of the people are doing. If they go to Salvation Army or they go to the whatever church organization, they're actually looking after the sick. They actually are giving them blankets. They actually are feeding them, giving them free meals. They actually are giving them a place to stay at very little or no comparative experience and expenses that occurs to other people. Our society is full of them. Amazing. The NGOs and number of the organizations, numbers you can just dial, and they're committed. They really are there. And Nagarjuna wrote, people should do, and we actually have them. And these are usually mostly the churches. Usually the church is doing it. And this is somewhat. Nowadays, in some Buddhist countries, are happening more because they really rejoice. The Christian missionaries do a lot of these works, and they're also starting to do. Buddhists are doing a little bit more active, and so we can learn from everybody. And these are written by Nagarjuna, but done by quite a lot of non-Buddhists. A lot of non-Buddhists are doing this, and Buddhists also can do that until you have given to the monastics and the beggars seasonally appropriate food and drink. You as well as produce grain, fruit. You should not partake of them yourself. Nagarjuna says you have to first prioritize all the products, all the profit, to look after these people first. The only leftover of that may be used for yourself. This is exactly what was this one. It's called mothers like that. They just feed all the food, best food, and then they just eat the leftover. And sometimes there's no leftover. They're just leaking the pots. I've seen my mother do that quite a lot of times. All the 7 kids, say, everybody had already a couple of bowls already. Still, they want another one. And she said, okay. And then she just have nothing but the pot. She's like that. More in situations, when you are a refugee and you haven't got much and you have so many mouths to feed and usually it's scary, It's true, Quite a lot of people do that. They put the others first. In the Theravadan tradition, Buddhist tradition, they offer the food to the guest until the guest completely finished. They wouldn't even begin to sit down with the guest, And even there's plenty of food, they just wouldn't join the table. They wouldn't. I don't know whether that is a bit extreme or not, but But the whole culture is there, putting the others first. The joy of serving other is considered more important thing to relish than oneself taking. So he says, first look after the monastics, beggars, and people who need, and guests, and friends, and whoever, particularly those who doesn't seem to be in the invited list, but he's still there. Even him, he should be invited. Not saying, "Oh, you haven't got a ticket," and then push him away. That's ridiculous, isn't it? So, when we were in India last November, it's a great sort of wedding season, every hotel we stay, there's the wedding happening. If not in the hotel, in next door. And we slowly wander off in the wedding, and they all welcome, amazing. They can tell we are not the invited guests. We just went to just look and enjoy the whole festive kind of environment. They got 1,000 guests, not just 15 or 20 people. Wedding guests. They just welcome. Everybody's welcome. So like that, I think. So of course, sometimes only rich can afford that, but tradition is like that. Tradition is being able to look after others is more joyful than oneself partaking at first. So Nagarjuna says, you should not partake of them yourself unless you have completely satisfied with fruit and drinks and produce and food seasonally appropriate. Offer what is appropriate. There was the best kind of peak of the season. You should offer them. At the sides of water vessels, place shoes, umbrellas, water filters, tweezers for removing thorns, needles, thread, and fans. So it just looks like a modern hotel. I don't know who pays them, but somebody definitely is paying, and you didn't do anything. You just swipe a card. You just swipe a card. Just put little plastic, that's it, and then they provide everything. There's soap, there's blanket, there's towels. The bathroom is so spotlessly clean. The towels are beautifully wrapped, and there's a water jug there. All the different types of teas there. So it's all there. It's all there. These days, you shouldn't really think you're paying for it. It's all gift of others. It's much better. It's really... and within the vessels, place the 3 medicinal fruits, 3 fever medicines, butter, honey, eye medicine, antidotes for poison, and write out mantras and prescriptions. So Nagarjuna is talking about how you should put all these wonderful things for various ailments. You should put the various things. This is for good. This is for good. This for good. This, and don't take this. Oh, you can't take this. You should have this instead. Often Chinese food is like that. They say, oh, you should have this. This is good for you. Oh, you shouldn't have that. That's not good for you. Straight away, some food was on the table they wouldn't let you have. They know you're of a health condition. They straight away bring something else in the kitchen, disappear a few minutes, and quickly they brought another one for you, so that it is appropriate for your health. Look, when people are in that amazing, elegant host kind of mood, how what they do is quite amazing. It's the joy of serving, of giving is joy of giving. I think joy of giving it's talking about joy of giving, and then particularly people like King, and who he's writing to, he actually can provide this. Just a matter of giving an order, just saying do this, I remember when our monastery was not really finished yet, and this 1973-4, I think. 74 is the concrete, and 50 feet by 80 feet wide. It's quite big, 4 big pillars. His Eminence sold all his religious items for and bought bricks and cement to build these things, and our murals is just starting, but our floors are nowhere near. His floor is not finished. But the king of Thailand came on a pilgrimage, came in amazing style. You wouldn't believe it. But of course, he came as a pilgrim, pilgrim, and he came through the monastery, and we of course made it a little bit even for the floor and everything. He just came. He just looked at it, and he can see we are really struggling. He can see that we want to build this, but we really haven't got all the things there, And he just straight away just did this. He looked at one of his officers, He just did this, and then he just said a few words, and then his officers sign a check, $5,000 US. We never heard of those gifts in those days. Thai king, And the $5,000 is a very big gift, even from Thai king, to a very, usually you won't get that even whole year. Whole year's donation wouldn't amount that much. It's just like that. So when you can just decide to give for a good cause, it's amazing merit, And of course, Thai king can give 50,000. There's nothing, 50 million. There's no problem. But you can see, you just decide to give. You can. And if you don't want to give, then even what you have, you can't spend even for yourself. Most people, let alone for such noble causes and purposes. So it's talking about how we can collectively practice generosity that actually provides utilities and facilities for the greater good of the population and sentient beings to access the teachings and through the generosity of others. It says, at the sides of vessels, at the sides of the vessels, place salves for the body, feet, and head, as well as wood, stools, gruel, jars for getting water, cooking pots, axes, and so forth. So he's talking about creating all the utilities, providing all the facilities there for the people, so that they don't have to go out and buy themselves or get the trouble to go somewhere very far. They don't have to do these things. It's all there. Please have small containers in the shade filled with sesame, rice, grains, and foods, molasses, and suitable water. So Nagarjuna is like a mother. He's like a mother telling the king how to provide these things for the benefit of people. Benefit at the opening of the ant hills. He's not looking after the ant. He said, at the opening of the ant hills, please have trustworthy persons. Always put food, water, sugar, and piles of grain for the ants. See, this is Nagarjuna. There lots of people do this. They if they see some creatures as small as ants, they try to see what they can do that is also promotes the well-being of these transmigratory beings too. They're also very helpless. Usually they're just completely squashed. Usually they're just drained. People just throw water over them, walk over them, or whatever. People straight away think they should squash them, People should think they should spray, The karma of doing that is horrendous, People have no idea. They think it's unhygienic or something, but they don't realize by destroying those small creatures, by a spray or by a whatever, the karmic consequences that experienceable within this life. Experiential concordant karma is not very far. It comes very quickly. All our unpleasant health problems comes from harm we inflicted on other living beings' life. We usually do them through one of the three afflictions, either out of ignorance, all out of hatred, all out of desire. We would want our living room to be clean and free of ants. And out of desire, we think we justifiably can spray poison to them, So karmically, it's very, very heavy. Before and after taking food, always appropriately offer fare to hungry ghosts, dogs, ants, birds, and so forth. So it means say the prayer, say the grace, because if you first say the grace before you eat the food, offer fare means that your food has cost. Food has manufactured not in the kitchen. Food has traveled from somewhere, from the field, from the road, and for the truckies driving and carrying it. So many people's effort has gone in food. Don't waste food, but say gracefully and include the hungry ghosts and dogs who's still sitting there on the outside. Don't get even one piece thrown at them, and just think of them, and don't just eat what you like. They also put fair share of food for the dogs and birds, Dogs and birds, I know a lot of people feed in Australia. They have little thing they can put the food over there. Bird drinks, and they really come as it's their meal time. Usually they don't know where to eat. They're just eating other creatures, other sentient beings. They're killing other sentient beings. That's usually animal life. They're always hunting each other. whether it's a pack of lions attacking an elephant or whatever. You can see that all the animals are always attacking each other and killing and eating each other. And so even small animals like ants and birds, who are really basically they also have some title of your land, I suppose, because they seem to be there always. Maybe there before we arrived, So treat them properly, and don't think that our land should not be covered by these kind of creatures, And this is like testing our kindness. If you have merit, you will do that. If you have loving kindness, you will. Not loving kindness only to people who are nice to us, but even sentient beings who are just crawling right next to you. So they are also sentient beings. They also wish to be happy. If they're happy, if you put some food and sugar or whatever, then you can see they're very happy. You can see they're coming very happy. Oh, there's some food coming over here. Everybody rushing. They're all happy to smell the food. Happy to smell the food, because when you say may all beings have happiness, the cause of happiness, what's the cause of happiness? For them, it's just food. And of course, we're talking about how to go about feeding those that are there, but not sort of creating a place where it will be infested by that, Provide extensive care for the persecuted. People who have been persecuted or people who have been condemned, you don't have to be the condemner on top of other people condemning. Try to be kind to those who are persecuted, those who are condemned or punished or flogged or whatever people do for legally or socially, whatever they do. You don't become one of them. Try to give some relief and solace to those who are greatly suffering, like people who have, he says, victims of crop failure. Those who have suffered from crop failure, those who have been victim to earthquake or flood or natural disasters or whatever, the stricken, those suffering, whoever, whatever they go through, just make that as part of concern of yourselves. And do not think it's their problem, but try to provide any care you can possibly lighten their burden. And then this is meritorious. This is really talking about really relief. We're talking about relief, There's a lot of relief there. Amazing. Modern relief efforts are amazing. You can see that all of these teachings has been there in our forefathers been passing it down, You can see the relief effort, those people who go and roll the sleeves and become volunteers for the next 3 months, they gave up the job. Never mind, even if they may not have a job when they come back. But for that sake, they went, There are a lot of people do that, They are not Buddhists. They don't have to be Buddhists. It's better they did this than being Buddhist. And what's the point of being Buddhist and not do this sort of thing? What's the point of being Christian and not do this sort of thing? These are real humane work. These are real relief for the... It says, may beings be happy and have the cause of her. Beings be free from suffering and cause of her. Instead of praying, you go and do it to relieve their suffering that are affected by natural disasters, that are affected by social upheavals or political persecution, whatever they are. I mean, our world is full of this. Amazing. When you really look at it, Nagarjuna wrote this and people are doing it. You don't have to have one religion, or people in every corner, they're doing that. And it's just relief effort of, if you go to those third world countries who've got huge problems, the number of NGO organizations from different parts of the world, and many of who's maybe chief executive or whatever may be paid, but majority, all volunteers. And they find so much happiness going places like that and doing work like that, and really come alive, they feel. Then their efforts is not cause of stress. In the materialistic world, always earning and saving for oneself, as if one has so time poor to do things, one is so pressured to perform, and one has so much, but one is just a stress. But people who go and do this kind of relief work, real kind of disaster relief, natural disaster relief, and people go there, they really come completely transformed. It's almost like enlightenment to them. It's really how liberating it is to some people who have done this kind of work overseas. They just feel like doing that for the rest of their life, as long as they have a little basic necessities met, and they don't want to live a very stressful life. And you can see why, because giving is the most highest cause of joy. Giving is not necessarily, but giving one's time and knowledge and effort to others is a much more long-lasting cause of happiness than anything else one may own or one may possess. Even if one may own or possess something, but what's the purpose of it? It doesn't give us joy, but worries, anxieties, and one is stuck with it. Can't even go anywhere because one is like a prisoner kept in the prison by the possessions, by the things. One who is really free to go and serve and help others does not suffer that. That's why it's called meritorious. It's very meritorious to do social work, community work, relief work in the world. Provide stricken farmers. Provide stricken farmers, meaning farmers who have suffered very terrible crops, with seeds and sustenance. Eliminate high tax levied by the previous monarch, if not yourself. It's talking to the king. If you don't charge high taxes, reduce the tax rate on harvest. Amazing, and you can see there is a pillar in India and Nepal. When Ashoka king went to travel, when Lumbini, he realized Lumbini was pretty neglected by then as well, And because all the Shakya kingdom was completely decimated by the Virudagas, and so there was nobody to take care of Lumbini, anything like that. So when he came, he realized, couldn't believe how neglected Lumbini was. That's only 100 years after Buddha passed away. And then on the pillar is written, he waived the tax to the local people. He says he waived the tax to local people, asked them to look after the place. Such is written in the inscription. So that's what it's really talking about. If people who are having to pay very heavy levies and things like that, and of course they can barely make the ends meet, and quite a lot of high taxing countries stress is because of that. People don't have basically the main income they have is almost like it's not enough. The expenses are so much high, and what they earn is so little, and even among that one has to pay heavy tax. So here the king is given advice to reduce tax. Protect the poor from the pain of wanting your wealth, So king, talking to the king, and those who are poor, and you should do something to relieve their poverty, and set up new tolls and reduce those that are heavy, Set up no new tolls, Don't put another highway toll, but reduce those tolls that are heavy. And also free traders from other areas from the affliction that come from waiting at your door. Yes, don't make people to wait long. He said quickly let things be processed. Don't make the red tape of the bureaucracy. That's what it's talking about. Nagarjuna is giving very nitty-gritty details how to look after the well-being of the subjects and don't create problems. He says if you don't do these things, when there's poverty, then there will be robbery. They say, eliminate robbers and thieves in your own and others' countries. Please set prices fairly and keep profit level even during scarcity. And so it's talking about how to economize the social kind of a collectiveness, a social collective wealth. wealth. So make it fair to everyone. If you really make it, if you let the poor become very poor, many poor people become robbers. They don't want to be robbers, but they're so poor they don't know what to do. Yeah, quite a lot of the truth. The poverty and the wealth kind of extremes are so much, and those who are, some have so much wealth, and others so poor, and the poor people are so desperate they go and become thieves and robbers. But if he says, if to eliminate robbers, you should make everything price should be bring down. He set price fairly. He said, if there is a way to stop, like in Bihar State, and this current chief minister 2 years ago, he made alcohol. He banned alcohol, basically. That's it, He has the power. What's the chief minister for? To get six digit a month? No. That's he should do something useful, So he actually made alcohol, banned the whole alcohol. It's completely illegal, basically. And India is a very interesting country, and the states are very much controlled. And even meat eating was really difficult. To find places to eat, beef in India was really, really difficult. You got to go and mix with the Muslims, then you can get really chunky beefs. But if they know that you eat beef, they'll evict you. They don't want you as your tenant. As soon as they know you eat beef, they'll kick you out. A lot of Tibetans, when they first came to India, they have to rent. They have no buildings, so they have to rent. So they tell the landlord they don't eat meat, but actually they do. They cook hidingly, but they can smell. They say quickly. They say, "Get out tomorrow. I don't want your dirty rent money. If you're going to pollute my place." So a lot of suburbs, they don't have any beef whatsoever. They don't, and not meat. And a lot of Indians are vegetarian anyway. They're better than Buddhists. This is what I mean by Buddhists talk about it, Hindus do it. It's good thing about that is there are people who do it, because teachings such as these has been there a long time, and some are paying heed to it, and then they're actually respecting these practices. Protect the pain from, protect the poor from heavy tolls and heavy taxes, and you should know full well. So the king, Nagarjuna, telling to the king that you should know full well about what I'm talking, that your ministers offer and should always enact it if it nurses the world, talking about that his minister should be asked to administer good administration that looks after, nurses the world. Ministers are not some fat cows. Ministers should be servants who are good at looking after people. You can see some leaders like that. You can see amazing. As soon as they come, it's amazing. Someone like Angela Merkel, German Chancellor, what she does is amazing, if someone can have karma to be president of a country and does what she does, never mind what the country have to face, but accept all the refugees. In a spur of the moment, it's amazing. I mean, it's such a relief just to think of how it gives us hope that there are leaders who can do that. But most of the leaders aren't doing anything. They just become more aggressive, more greedy, take more than give. And when she did that, I think whole idea of humanity was given a hope. Really, I mean, those people are not economic migrants. If they are only few. Majority are refugees caused by war, to which most superpowers are contributing to. So all the superpowers are the cause of the wars. They are the one who is dropping the bombs, and then they think it's others are terrorists. And the people are escaping these bombs and these dangerous weapons, which are only flung and thrown at them. And of course, you're morally responsible to look after the refugees, And quite a lot of countries are not seeing that. They don't see they should lift the weight of the refugee problem because they are causing it. You can see, if it can send back all the way from somewhere else to others, it's okay, But it comes to military activities that's actually causing this refugee problem. People escaping because there's so many bombs fell. They can't even go to places like Laos or in South Korea. There's so many places they can't even dare to go. There's so many bombs there. Even from 50 years ago, they're still there. This is dropped not by local people. This is dropped by superpowers who are wealthy. These are what we're talking about. So how do we protect the poor? He says ministers should be the nurses. Look after the world that is suffering from poverty, from maltreatment, from poor governance, and see the minister. He says you should offer a ministerial position to those who nurses the world, not those who take advantage of the world. Just as you are intent on thinking of what could be done to help yourself, so you should be intent on thinking of what could be done to help the others. So Nagarjuna is really making the king almost like he's really saying, look, you are always interested what should be done to be better your life, better your security, better your positions, health. Why should you not think about the well-being of the others? And execute your royal power for the advantage of good of many, for the benefit of many. You can do that because you're set to control over many people. Why can't you look after the many people well-being, just as you want yourself to be well? Just look after the well-being of others. Then you're a true king. And the king in the old days was those who looked after this subject, not who took advantage and above the law, above having to pay tax, that kind of king. That's why the whole revolution came. People rose up because they can't stand the kings and the powerful, because royal family doesn't have to pay any tax. So that sort of thing, They're all living in just filthy big castles that has most of the rooms are completely empty, And so that's exactly. I think that someone should write a Precious Garland to some of the monarchs living in the world, and they should read this because it's really true. Some people do. Some wealthy people do. I must say, wealthy people are giving a lot. Amazing. They're not kings, they are not ministers, but they work very hard, and at the end of the year, they realized they could give so much for cancer research, they could do so much for a particular hotel department. When you look at that, these are not Nagarjuna have to sort of make noise then, but people are doing it. So our world is not gone worse. It's getting better and better. These things have been heated too, and hence these are republished. These are being practiced as we read it. Amazing thing is some people are doing it, without any kind of feeling they are being spiritual or making merit, They just think that's the way to do. Amazing. Look at it. This is completely a secular society, but lots of people do amazing things. Philanthropies. Yeah, you think people can be envious of them? Well, no need. We rejoice the way they spend, where they allocate money for various noble causes from their otherwise whatever ways they make money. And so then it's really, what could be done to help yourself when you have health insurance. But what is much better if there is a medicine that ensures everybody's illness don't have to go through those terrible length of procedures or costly exercise. If more pharmaceutical benefit could be created, that people pay less. And this country is one of the top countries that enjoy highest pharmaceutical benefit by its people than any other countries. America don't have not even nearly half the good as our healthcare. They never know about healthcare. They don't have basically there's no healthcare. So these are really giving advices as a king or for that matter, individuals, just say, not think of yourself. Think about your only son or only daughter or only mother or only ailing uncle or somebody. Think of them, and then do think for them just as much as you want this blanket or this kind of thing. Let's just give him that, because he doesn't have that. He's frail and old and lonely and hasn't got many things. You got at least few things. So it's talking about really speaking to us, like, say, just what could be done. What do you want other people to do? Do that to others. What you don't want other people to do to you, don't do that to other people. And so, if only for a moment, make yourself available for the use of others. So it's talking about be yourself at the disposal of others. Make yourself available to benefit them, available for the use of others, just as earth, water, fire, wind, medicine, forest are available to all. And this is one of the beautiful prayers, Nagarjuna. This is the one. This is the His Holiness Dalai Lama talks about this verse. If only for a moment, make yourself, or you can say it to yourself, let me make myself available for the use of others. Just as earth, like the earth is always there for you and me. Whoever want to use it is just there. Or water, it's always, the water is ready to be turned on the tap. It's just there, always ready, And your stove or your gas, your electricity, your medicine sitting in the jar waiting for you to be taken just simply for you, or whatever you have, or the furniture, sitting there waiting for you to, whenever you want to sit on it, he's always not minding you to sit on it. Just be a useful chair if you can't be a useful person. That's what the Shantideva says. Let me be a log. He says, sometimes he wish he became a log or something. Then at least useful. People can sit on. Big bottom one, or 2 people, or 3 people, or whatever. At least a log is useful. No longer complaining. At least let people sit. We are not even useful as a log. He says, try to be like an inanimate object that is selflessly giving. Selflessly giving. That's why in the Mahayana teachings, they say that your altruism should be like earth, should be like fire. They say that, Earth means that's always stable, never minding who puts a feet on the earth. And always stable and reliable to rely on. So if we can be just like an earth to everyone, without any selfish concerns, whether it comes with the clean shoes on top of it, or with the dirty shoes on it, or with whatever, whether come bring a truck on it, or tractor on it, or a little bicycle on it, or a little baby walks on it. For everybody can use the earth without anything. So it's talking about selflessness. How if only we can be like an earth for a he said, even for a moment, he says this. If only for a moment, just train for a moment. Make yourself available for the use of others. Like a water, if people want to drink the water, let they drink. If they want to use the water to wash their dirty socks, let this water to be used the dirty socks. If they want to pour it on the garden, pour it on the garden. If they want to use to flush their toilet, yes, you. Now, are we going to be willing? So willing, just like willing like the water. It's a bit difficult, isn't it? Difficult. If we just become water, we wouldn't mind. But we don't know how to be water. How to be water. But water, therefore, don't waste water. This is the whole talking about. Don't waste water. And don't waste earth. Don't mistreat the earth, or just cut them or open cut them just because you want some mine or something. It's a taboo to open cut the earth, Even building monasteries, temples, or houses, in the Buddhist teaching, they say you should do this earth taming ritual before you even put a shovel on the earth. You should. They usually make a small vase filled with a lot of riches and a lot of mantras and prayers. And there's a special ceremony to dig a soil and give this to the earth goddess earth, saying, sorry, we have to make a little building. We are not doing war or anything. We are going to either just live for the family or build a temple for the benefit of this. Please don't mind us using this. And we totally honor Mother Earth. We're not trying to take it away, but we simply wanted to reside here. So we give back these wealth to honor you. Please, may we be able to successfully dwell here and not take advantage of you. So you have to do the thing called earth taming ritual. You have to do that. Then only, this is of course Dharma bureaucracy, We're not talking about council bureaucracy. Council would be more difficult than on top of that. After the council and you have all of that, still you shouldn't say, we got just council permit or local council permit or what it is. No, you still haven't got the permit from the Mother Earth or the traditional owners. You can call the traditional owners, really. Traditional owners are in Australia, belatedly think the Aborigines, but that's lip service, really. But really, traditional owners are spirits or beings or forefathers. Everybody is traditional owners. So to think land is yours is already sacrilege, Land is everybody's. Hopefully I can partake of this and put good use and do good here. And same goes with the water. Even one drop of water one shouldn't waste, because water is energy. Energy is it's like oil, It's one day I think water will be more expensive than oil. It already is, Water is more expensive than some oils. All of these things. Fresh air, amazing. Like in Australia, you have no problem. Everywhere, just it's pure energy. And you go to some places, no, you have to wear this many-layered mask so that you just want the oxygen, but not the dust, not all the things, airborne diseases all there. Yeah, you wouldn't believe. You go out once, you come back a cold, and you got sick for days and days. We enjoy such, just thinking that we can have such fresh air and unpolluted air is you can say, developed country, first world country, because we have fresh water and fresh air, let alone anything else. Just without that, even you have money, you can't do nothing. And medicine. Australians, so easily get medicine. So easy. Most of them are free. to at least a small percentage of people, they're all free, Even those who can afford is still so plentiful. And some of the best medicines. And so many forests, We have forests all over the place. Just look at the forests. Why people go to the bushwalking, come home happy? Because nature is very healing. Very, very healing. It's just constantly giving. Just oxygen. Our oxygen comes from nature, and so they are always there. But only if we should try to think, just like this Mother Nature, what is it that I can do to be useful for others? So it's like a training of a bodhicitta, altruistic motivation. And putting oneself into sort of not in a very high pedestal, saying I'm important, I am this, I'm that type of thing. What can I do to make a difference to this person, just like the earth does, indiscriminately help everyone? And what am I doing that is actually like a earth? Even for a moment, can we do something like that? Even during the seventh step, merit measureless, as the sky is generated in bodhisattvas, whose attitude is to give all wealth away. This is talking about how the bodhisattvas go through step by step, step by step from first to second, second to third, on the seventh bhumi or seventh step. Their merit is constantly creating like this. It's becoming very meticulous care how can we best behave. It's talking about how we can best mentally behave. Attitudinally, we train ourselves, and then verbally we train, of course, and then physically we train, and then we gentle with the Mother Nature. Don't cut everything just as you like. Don't throw things anything you like. Even if they look like earth and inanimate, they are actually spirit. They are Bhumi Putra. It's called Bhumi Putra means the earth spirit, the earth son, or Mother Earth son. And Bhumi Patti they call. Bhumi Patti means owner of the land. The traditional owner of land are not human beings. Traditional owners of land, Prithibhi Bhumi. Prithibhi Bhumi means the earth, Mother Earth. Mother Earth, and so therefore we shouldn't just use them as if it's ours. We should, even if it's ours, we should still and only conventionally it's called ours. And we know it's not ours, especially in Canberra. It's a lease. Even it's yours. It's only as long as you live, then it's yours. Otherwise, after it's nobody. You can't. It's somebody else's. If nobody knows, no next to kin is, government takes it. It's written in law. There's no next to kin. Then somebody leaves the estate. It goes to the state. So the state is answerable to the actual owners of the land. Traditional owners' land is collective goodness of the whole world, collective well-being of everybody. So therefore, give back to the state, give back to the world, who governs it, who looks after it. And so that's why one's attitude should be that everything that we have are not really ours. We're just custodians. We're just caretakers, and make sure that they are returned to those who need better use than we are. And so not think that I'm giving this to him or them, because we came empty-handed, so how can we give anything? So everything we have also given to us by some way or another. This attitude really takes all stress people have about not having these, wanting to have these, all these problems. Greed caused the problem, not lack of things. Everybody still have a roof over their head, whether it's their house or not their house. There's always a roof over their head. Amazing, So attitude is very important to shift. Not thinking I don't own anything, I have nothing type of attitude. And then the depression and sadness and feeling of self-loathing comes from this greed, not lack of things. One always has, And this, particularly in this land, even in third world countries, these people still, some people always find somewhere to live, And in these countries, there's amazing care for people who are old or sick or a little personal difficulties, and completely provided by the government. And we must rejoice with all of these things and not think, I don't have this, I'm relying on this stuff. We always rely on them, We always rely, even rich rely on the benefit, they make profit out of the poor masses. You think the rich can just open the key in the sky every morning and get all the money like that? No, they are reaping benefit from the poor masses, They have shops everywhere, they're making profit, and that's how they get rich. And every single Joe and people are buying from there, that's how they can make the profit. So they are not rich by themselves. They are. So like that, even wealth, even if we have a lot, we shouldn't think it's ours. It's meritorious to think like, not mine. It's really good attitude. It's amazing. Then you have the amazing power to dispense it and give it, and where it's most useful, you wouldn't hesitate to dispense it. Amazing sort of freedom of not clinging and hoarding and clinging and grasping. Becomes cause of discord. A lot of people are fighting, not because they don't have. They have but they not use it for themselves or others, and then become cause of discord. whether it's a sibling, or whether it's a family, or whatever. When there is a lot of family kind of a schism, it's usually about things, and they don't really own it. It was their grandmother, and then grandmother got from her mother, and like that. So like that, it's not from anybody's. So what Nagarjuna is talking is that the all wealth is not ours. All wealth is, traditional honors. Traditional honors is everybody. Everybody can have it, and just that we seem to have a little kind of a power of attorneys, you can say, to decide what to do with it, And if we act like have a power, then do it in an elegant way. Don't think that this is like a burden. You can't do anything for it, but except to worry about it, and then one only worries more about it than benefits oneself or others. So that's why the bodhisattvas, if they actually give it for the others. If you have anything, it's for the benefit of others. If you give to those so seeking. So if you give the things, and like this is talking to the king, if you give to those so seeking, girls of beauty, well adorned, you will thereby attain thorough retention of excellent doctrine. He's talking about those who wanted to have a youthful beauty or qualification or some skill or whatever, empower them to do and become great artists or great performer or whatever. You can give them, and whatever great merit they will have, will have many benefit to thorough retention of excellent doctrine. When some people's mind can remember Dharma all the time, he says that's because they gave things to others before. Now this life they are blessed with good retention of memory of good things. Some people who have really always thinking of bad things that happen, they keep remembering that. What is it? Because they actually did harmful things to other people in the past life, maybe, or if not in this life, definitely past life. And then in this life, they have so much miserable things happening. Even though they don't remember doing anything to the other people in this life, but the one has no break from the cycle of misery, and one's mind, this is talking mind, attitude is so stiff and so unwilling to change. And this is exact opposite of thorough retention of excellent dharma. Now the person who is opposite is thorough retention of ill will, and anger, and blaming, and venom, and that kind of thing. They don't know how to get rid of it. So that's why by being able to do good deeds, it has the consequences, not only in this life, but in the next life. This life is just experientially we experience this, but causes were created earlier. So if we know that, then one also knows, if I did this now, sooner or later I'm going to get it myself. So this ill will, or this miserliness, or this resentment is going to make myself to be born with a severe mental problem. Ill will or wrong views, people who think they are too smart to believe in law of karma, and they think they haven't seen it, or they, some people say they haven't seen rebirth, therefore they can't believe type of thing. It's too arrogant, really. If you haven't seen something doesn't exist, you haven't seen many towns, so they don't exist. Some people are very, very intellectually arrogant. They haven't seen rebirth or something. So a lot of things we ourselves included, without being tried to be very smart. We haven't seen many of the things what we believe because majority of people know they are there. So we have no feeling that I haven't seen it, so I don't want to believe in that kind of thing. So sometimes Buddhist teachings give too much leverage to people to just don't believe in anything type of thing. And they think they overstretch, they're too much extreme, and then they don't want to even believe in the fundamental teachings. And so of course, what are we talking about here is a karma here. And Nagarjuna is talking about karma. If you give good things to other people, empower somebody, not only you will empower them, immediately by your generosity or by your amazing qualities, but your life will be blessed to be born with the excellent mental retention of holy Dharma. Your mind is just constantly turning to the Dharma, not to violence, not to retaliation, not to any form of causing suffering or blaming or harming others or all that sort of thing. You wouldn't go there by the merit of the good that you did now. If one doesn't do that, concordant experience of doing that to others, one will suffer. Formerly, the subduer provided along with every need and so forth. This is talking about Nagarjuna, talking about Buddha in his previous life. How many times Buddha provided whatever need and wishes of somebody, he gave it. But the hungry tigress about to devour her little young because she's so hungry, when he knew that was the need, she needed food. And there was no food. There was only for her small 5 youngs, just all recently born, and only few hours born. She herself too weak to find food, anything. She was on the brink of devouring them. And so the subduer provided along with every need. And he said, "Oh, I will be a good dinner. I can be the one that she can eat. I'd rather let the young 5 survive and let me be the useful one." So that's what it's talking about as an example. So he says, formerly the subduer provided along with every need and so forth 80,000 girls with all adornments. This is talking about one of the Jatakamala stories. In the past life, it says, I'm not exactly sure which stories, they're talking about how he provided 80,000 girls, he gave beautiful ornaments, empowered them basically, yeah? Give them beautiful clothes, beautiful ornaments, make them happy, and whatever he did by doing that, so that they're talking about giving someone who whatever people want, give that. If you provide facilities for those those most deprived, who lack the means to study the doctrine, there's no greater gift than that. So this is talking about if one is able to give these things, whatever people need, this is generosity. It's talking about generosity, whatever it is. If those who need a medicine, may I be a medicine. Those who need a bridge, may I be a bridge. Those who need a horse, may I be a horse. That kind of thing. So Bodhisattva is actually willing to be whatever is that useful to others, because we have wasted a lot of lives without having useful for anybody but for ourselves. And so therefore, giving these things to people who need it. Lovingly give to beggars various and glittering clothes, adornments, perfumes, garlands, and enjoyment. Talking about parting things that we normally would not give to people like beggars. We probably give things that are either excess or extra or things we don't need. So that is, of course, not generosity, just getting rid of what we don't need. If you provide facility for those those who are deprived, who lack the means to study the doctrine, there's no greater gift than that. So meaning people who want to study, go make them study. Let them do the teaching or course. And don't make it a hindrance. The cost shouldn't be a hindrance for people attending it. This is, we really think it's important effort. Should be made, and if it is a hindrance, sure, some basic overheads must be covered, but the rest is not important. I think that kind of idea need to come. And traditionally, kind of supported Buddhist organization shouldn't be charging anything really, if there is a more basis for the support that actually looks after this, then the whole culture is in place, then it doesn't need to be. And there's a lot to learn from traditional cultures. It's maybe more people need to go there and see that's how they do. Oh, one person go there, see, that's how they do. Oh, it's possible to do. And how can we make it possible? Maybe 2-3 people first few years just hold that,
kind of scheme, and then slowly promote that system, and so there's no shortage of people, no hindrance for people from being able to attend, learn, study the Dharma. It's a very, very important. It needs a little bit of communal initiative. I think it takes a while. Where there's that kind of community, people who are brought up in that, it usually happens. Tibetan Buddhist organization do poor in that line, that side, mainly because there aren't Tibetan Buddhists themselves that many to support the Buddhist organization. They're basically non-Tibetans. And so, like in Thai Buddhist and Burmese Buddhist or Sri Lankans, and in many ways they do much better, yeah? They do much better, and I don't know how much teaching they give, but if they do provide teachings, and then the more people can access. But if the teaching itself is very also like just for the traditional believers only, then of course, then it doesn't encourage anybody to come. So some kind of effort needs to be made, and I think Nagarjuna's amazing writings are old but still very, very relevant. Relevant to emulate, remember, giving that is the teaching. The teaching is highest gift, Teaching is a higher gift. It's if we can give teachings, doesn't matter what we lose or what we don't get. That kind of attitudes. I think that's sometimes the energy goes too much and try to get too much material things, and not enough of the actual teachings. So what we have read tonight really has given us a good understanding, the need to pay some attention to the nitty-gritty things we can do. There are meritorious things. And like traditionally they talk about doing merit. You do this prayer. You do this many 100,000 times. You do this prayer many thousand times. It's good. Yeah, those are devotionally very good training. We are no questions about their meritoriousness. But the small things in everyday mindfulness, this is like integrated mindfulness in everyday life, these things, looking after the sick and the poor and speaking to them kindly and being patient to them, look after the elderly or somebody a little bit sort of not in the right state, being able to give a good attention to them. These are merit you can never sing enough praise of, It's just not enough people doing that. It's usually that considered to be duty of the carers, duty of the nurses, duty of the parents, or like that. If the society itself does not, or individual themselves cannot do something like that. Sometimes, of course, the society is so fear-prone. They say, you shouldn't do, you're a stranger. You shouldn't accept help from a stranger. You might be bodhisattva willing to help in this, but people think you're a bit funny. Who are you? No, I don't want to carry you to carry my bag. Yes, I've seen that. Straight away, they're more afraid because the society is more based on fear. They're afraid. Who's the stranger who want to carry my bag? So you got to be very tactful. But generally speaking, it's a really important messages how to tailor and integrate these kind of small, pertinent, meritorious deeds that one should facilitate. One should create a ways or avenue to make it the way to do. And generally speaking, and anybody out of goodwill, whatever he does will benefit people. There's no doubt about that. How that should be executed skillfully in given particular time and place, of course, vary accordingly. So it's very nice that we can read and listen and contemplate on these things. This refresh our mind and therefore way to be in every different situation in our life. So we conclude here tonight with the dedication of merits, merit of listening and contemplating and learning to shift our mind attitudinally is very meritorious. If it's even bad, because if we didn't hear these mind teachings, we don't know what to do. So slowly we heard. Well, thus I've heard, they call it. You heard that, and it really changed your way, changed your outlook. And when you try to implement that, it really brings us really sort of really amazing, sort of refreshing shifts in one's energy, and the work that you do at work is really light, and you don't feel tired and unwilling anymore. It completely mobilizes a new dose of merit. The attitude has been shifted and lightened by that altruistic and compassionate mind. So may that blessings flow in our everyday life. For that, we do the dedication on page 7. Through the blessings of the Lord Manjushri, whenever one wishes to study right, may I be able to accomplish all without any obstacles. The torch of great brilliance of your youthful appearance dispel the darkness of 3 realms. May Manjushri grace auspicious blessings. Just as courageous Manjushri knew all things, Samandabhadra did likewise. Emulating all of their examples, I shall probably dedicate all these merits. And now then, last page on page 11. Again, by the merit of this may we attain the state of omniscience and defeat the evil enemies and defilements. May I liberate all sentient beings from the samsara oceans, traveling ways of birth, all this sickness and death. By listening to the excellent, precious Mahayana teachings, whatever boundless merit I acquire, may all sentient beings become precious and stainless vessels to retain the excellent, precious Mahayana teachings. May the supreme, precious bodhicitta take birth, yet not done so. Where it has been born, may it increase abundantly without degeneration.